Yeah. All right. I think that's better. Hello, world. It's Tuesday, April the 10th, 2019. Present time, 1 minute till 10 o'clock p.m. And my day's been rather short. I went to sleep pretty late last night on account of, again, killing time on these feeds. Killing time and not actually putting anything really out there. It's dangerous. It's a really dangerous game. So I slept in, went to work, stayed there a while, and that's it. I did spend a little bit of time learning about this device, my little vape. I put out this question: what can I share, or what can I teach others? I think that's an important one for me to consider. So, I'm still wearing my contacts, still not really enjoying them. Grateful at least that I can see, but this doesn't really make me want to spend much time on the computer. It's just bothersome. I think part of it's because of that toric lens, the one that's in my right eye. I'm really looking forward to getting my glasses back, whenever that happens. Otherwise, what's going on in my little world? Last night, I spent a bit of time looking at solutions to solve what I think are bandwidth-related problems with NDI. See, I think it's bandwidth, but it might not be bandwidth. It might not be bandwidth. It could be the routers, it could be any number of things. So shit gets kind of complicated. So I looked into a potential solution for that, almost pulled the trigger on it, and then I realized that I need to learn more about just what I have available to me right now, the tech stack available. And right now I'm leaning towards something else. Gosh, this is really bad. Like, I kind of wonder if this lens is defective too. Fuck, man. I guess I'm in a weird spot. Anyhow, outside of this, outside of this, I want to continue doing my readings. It's the smallest unit of potentially useful stuff that I can put out. Maybe it's busy work, but I want to keep doing it. Tonight's reading. The Spy and the Traitor by Ben McIntyre. The Spy and the Traitor from 2018 details the real-life spy story of Oleg Gordievsky, the Soviet double agent whose efforts contributed to the end of the Cold War. This book traces Gordievsky's progress through the KGB and his years spying for MI6, the British Secret Service, before his final daring escape to the West. Who should read this? Fans of espionage and spy stories, history buffs looking for fresh perspective on the Cold War, and political science nerds who want to see realpolitik in action. Who wrote the book? Ben McIntyre is a historian and newspaper columnist for The Times. He has written 10 books, several of which have been shortlisted for esteemed book prizes. His titles include The SAS, Rogue Heroes from 2016, and Agent Zigzag from 2007. What's in it for me? Put a face to the Cold War and be entertained by a good adventure story. The showdown between the USSR and the West in the second half of the 19th century could have escalated into nuclear war at any moment. It was a terrifying time to be alive. As part of the confrontation, both sides developed huge networks of spies and technologies to monitor what the other was up to. Of course, spying is a risky business. Spies can change sides any moment, sometimes for money, sometimes on principle. The life of KGB agent Oleg Gordievsky is a case in point. He turned to the West and became a double agent. Eventually, his actions changed the world as we know it, and arguably even assisted in bringing the Cold War to a close. In these blinks, you'll follow the life of Oleg Gordievsky, learn how he became an intelligence officer, and how he was seduced by the West. Along the way, you'll learn how to distract sniffer dogs at international borders, what information helped Margaret Thatcher communicate better with Soviet leaders, and how the Danish intelligence service matches up to its British and American counterparts. Oleg Gordievsky seemed destined to join the KGB, but became disillusioned with communism from an early age. The communist Soviet Union's reputation for its terrifyingly effective state apparatus has barely dimmed since its dissolution in 1991. One name still instantly recalls the pervasive fear that riddled the country: the KGB. The Komitet Gosdarstvennoy Bezpečnosti, or Committee for State Security, was the country's primary security agency. To put it mildly, it was ruthlessly efficient. Oleg Gordievsky's father, Anton Lavrentievich Gordievsky, was a lifelong member of the KGB. Although the exact details are scarce, he likely identified many enemies of the state during the Great Purge of 1936 to 1938. This state campaign under Stalin resulted in the murder of hundreds of thousands of innocent people. Though he never spoke of these atrocities, Gordievsky was proud of his role in the KGB, even opting to wear his uniform on the weekends. Oleg Gordievsky was born the 10th of October, 1938. It seemed that he, like his brother Vasily, was assured of employment at the KGB thanks to his father's membership. That was just how it worked with the children of KGB members. Gordievsky's career path to the KGB was settled, but his conscience was not. From early on, there were signs that he was discontented with the communist ideology fueling the organization. Two early influences on Gordievsky were his mother, a gentle nonconformist who kept a quiet distance from Soviet ideology, and his grandmother. The latter kept her religious beliefs secret, an absolute necessity in a country where religious faith was illegal. By the time 17-year-old Gordievsky enrolled at Russia's most esteemed university for diplomats, politicians, and spies, the Moscow State Institute of International Relations, a change was in the air. After Stalin's death in 1953, his successor Nikita Khrushchev began to liberalize some of the Soviet Union's most oppressive practices, for example, allowing foreigners to visit, as well as making previously banned publications and magazines available. Gordievsky was thus able to learn more about the West from foreign newspapers and periodicals in the Institute's library. At night, he began tuning his radio to the BBC World Service and Voice of America, even though that was still forbidden. Around this time, he found a companion at the Institute, Stanislaw Kaplan. Like Gordievsky, he was skeptical about communism. The two became fast friends and often went out jogging together. Though neither Gordievsky nor Kaplan had yet dropped their loyalty to communism, it was clear that this friendship would shape the rest of their lives. Gordievsky's first experiences outside the Soviet Union reinforced his disillusionment with communism. Despite Khrushchev's push for reform, in the mid-1950s, the country's 280 million inhabitants were still essentially living in a colossal prison. The government saw Western capitalism as an existential threat and deemed it essential to shield the populace from the influence of the West. All citizens were therefore monitored by members of the KGB, who numbered more than 1 million in total. The political climate was rife with brainwashing and conspiracy theories. Gordievsky saw this in action, and his doubts about communism started to resurface. Specifically, he experienced a change of heart when he completed his studies in 1961. He was interviewed for a position at the KGB and was posted for 6 months to East Berlin before officially starting. During this time, he witnessed the construction of the Berlin Wall, which literally sprung up overnight. For the 22-year-old Gordievsky, the significance was clear. The wall was nothing less than a prison wall designed to keep East Germans locked up in the socialist paradise of the Moscow-backed German Democratic Republic. There, he saw East German workers digging trenches along the perimeter of the wall to prevent cars from crossing the border. Over the coming years, many East Germans perished as they fled for freedom by climbing over the fortifications or swimming across the barrier canals. Despite his doubts, Gordievsky's ingrained obedience and deference to authority meant that when he was summoned to the report for KGB duty in July 1962, he duly returned to Moscow. But he had a plan to allow himself a little breathing space from the Soviet regime. Once his official KGB training was over, Gordievsky made sure to seek out a position in which he would be posted outside the Soviet Union. Since married KGB members were more likely to receive such postings, Gordievsky speedily married Yelena Akopian, who had her own doubts about the regime as well. So when a position at the Soviet embassy in Copenhagen opened, the newlyweds moved to Denmark in January of 1966. Gordievsky's task was to manage the network of undercover KGB spies in the country. Soon after arriving, Gordievsky began to consume the Western literature that was forbidden in the Soviet Union, finding a passion for classical music as well. Before long, Gordievsky found himself at increasing odds with the Soviet Union, and more sympathetic to the Western cultural values he discovered. It was only a question of time before these thoughts would turn into action. Gordievsky attempted to signal his dissent to the Danish intelligence services, who misread the situation. After 2 years of living in Denmark, Gordievsky had turned a corner. What had once been simple alienation from Soviet ideology had become loathing. His mind was made up to act on this feeling. The watershed moment came when Danish protesters assembled in front of the Soviet embassy in outrage that the Soviet Union had crushed the so-called Prague Spring in Czechoslovakia in 1968, a push to liberalize and democratize the country. In response, the Soviet Union sent in the tanks. Gordievsky was deeply ashamed and called his wife from the embassy to rail against the Soviet Union's actions. But this was no mere outburst. Gordievsky knew what he was doing. He was fully aware that the Danish intelligence service, the Politiets Efterretnings, or PET, and the Danish security service had the embassy telephone wires tapped. His call was a covert message to the Danish authorities that he was ready to switch allegiances. Unfortunately, the PET completely failed to spot that particular clue. With that said, they already had Gordievsky marked. They suspected that Gordievsky was a KGB agent, giving him the codename Uncle Gormson, after the notorious 10th century Danish king Harald Bluetooth Gormson. They'd also noticed Gordievsky had taken full advantage of his freedom in the West. On one occasion, Gordievsky had made his way to Copenhagen's red light district and purchased some homosexual pornographic magazines out of curiosity, which he then showed to his wife. The PET also had Gordievsky's home bugged and knew his marriage was becoming increasingly fraught. The PET put 2 and 2 together and set up a honey trap for Gordievsky so they could later blackmail him. At a diplomatic party, a young Danish man suggested that he and Gordievsky leave and head to a bar. Gordievsky declined. This perplexed the PET, but they'd made a false calculation. Gordievsky wasn't actually gay. The magazines were mere curiosity items, and he may not have even realized the young man was flirting with him. Gordievsky was clueless that the PET was tracking him, but the ultra-efficient KGB noticed that something was up. Gordievsky was being tailed more than anyone else at the embassy. Unsure what exactly was going on, they figured it wasn't worth the risk and called him back to Moscow. The Danish intelligence service and Gordievsky had passed like ships in the night. In the end, as we shall see, it was the British who got him. In 1970, Gordievsky was flagged as a person of interest and approached by MI6 to spy for the British. No one becomes a double agent overnight, and Gordievsky was no exception. It took prolonged and meticulous effort to get him to spy on Mother Russia. Gordievsky returned to Moscow in 1970, disgruntled that no foreign power had made contact with him. Little did he know, Britain's secret intelligence service, MI6, already had their eyes on him. MI6 had first encountered Gordievsky's name in a debrief written by Stanislaw Kaplan, Gordievsky's old friend from university. Kaplan had himself defected while on a sojourn in France before settling in Canada. In the document, Kaplan identified Gordievsky as showing clear signs of political disillusionment, while the two were at university. Consequently, MI6 flagged the Gordievsky as a person of interest. He was given the codename Sunbeam. As it happened, in the year following his return, Gordievsky began to quickly rise through the ranks, which soon allowed him to return to Denmark. There, MI6 would finally have a chance to approach him, and they knew just who to use for the task. In November 1973, Kaplan himself appeared at Gordievsky's door. As they ate lunch together, Kaplan regaled Gordievsky with stories of his defection and his experiences in Czechoslovakia. Gordievsky displayed considerable sympathy and did not indicate that he intended to update the KGB about Kaplan's sudden appearance. Richard Bromhead, Denmark's MI6 station chief, decided to approach Gordievsky during his regular badminton match, which he played every morning. There, Gordievsky and Bromhead arranged to meet privately for lunch 3 days later. Gordievsky was certain that Bromhead was scouting for MI6. The meeting went well, then nothing. Bromhead waited 8 months before appearing once again by the badminton court. Perhaps another meeting was in order. This time, they met in the bar of the new SAS hotel. Gordievsky was more willing to share his story. He replied forthrightly to Bromhead's questions regarding who was tasked with gathering political intelligence in Gordievsky's section. Much to Bromhead's surprise, Gordievsky not only gave him the name, but also announced it was himself. Gordievsky also disclosed that he hadn't mentioned their earlier encounter to the KGB. They then agreed to find a secure location to meet more. This rendezvous at the SAS hotel effectively confirmed MI6's intuition that Gordievsky was prepared to turn. Sunbeam was ready to shine. When Gordievsky first met Bromhead, Bromhead wondered whether Gordievsky was trying to recruit him to spy on MI6. As he began life as an MI6 double agent, Gordievsky also embarked on a love affair. Soon, Gordievsky's double life at the embassy was complemented by a similar arrangement in his private life. In an apartment on the other side of Copenhagen, far from the Soviet embassy, Gordievsky arranged to regularly meet his MI6 case officer twice a month for up to 2 hours at a time. Gordievsky's new KGB role involved gleaning intelligence and attempting to undermine Western institutions. This is exactly what the MI6 were interested in. They knew the USSR was trying to bring Western institutions down, but had no idea what their method was. And they wanted to set up bulwarks against it. Consequently, thanks also to his training as an intelligence officer, there could not have been a better double agent than Gordievsky for this task. Before long, Gordievsky was supplying his handlers with all kinds of juicy information, including the KGB's methods for planting its spies the world over. On top of that, Gordievsky began smuggling reels of microfilm out of the Soviet embassy for MI6 to copy. Simply put, MI6 had struck gold. No double agent matched Gordievsky's seniority at the KGB. Knowing that this relationship would benefit from a personal touch, they brought Gordievsky a thank you note from the head of MI6 himself. Despite his embrace of Western cultural values, Gordievsky was still something of a traditionalist. His marriage suffered when his wife Yelena refused to cook for him or have children. However, divorce sat uncomfortably in the communist ideology and was sure to damage his career at the KGB. Soon after he started meeting his MI6 case officer, in an unrelated development, the Soviet ambassador's wife introduced Gordievsky to Leila Aliyeva. Leila was 28 and had moved to Denmark to work for the World Health Organization. As it happened, she was the daughter of a KGB major general. She and Gordievsky quickly fell for each other, but Gordievsky knew he had to keep his life as a double agent quiet. However much he wanted to tell Leila, ultimately, there was no way he could risk sharing such dangerous information with her. Sadly, such secrets would one day take their toll on the relationship. Back in the Soviet Union, despite MI6 being ready to engineer his escape, Gordievsky masterminded a route to London. In the spring of 1978, Gordievsky's time in Denmark was coming to a close. Knowing it would be too dangerous for them to rendezvous with Gordievsky in Moscow, MI6 came up with an escape plan for him. The plan, codenamed Pimlico, was devised by Veronica Price, a specialist in emergency escape plans for undercover agents. Pimlico involved Gordievsky loitering by a bakery in Moscow, holding a British Safeway plastic grocery bag. He'd be wearing a gray cap and trousers. To show that the Moscow-based branch of MI6 had received a signal, an MI6 officer would walk past him with an easily identifiable green bag from Harrods, the renowned luxury department store in London, while tucking into a Kit Kat or Mars bar. Then, 3 days later, Gordievsky would board the sleeper train to Leningrad. He would head for a rendezvous point on the Finnish border. A British diplomatic car traveling from Moscow would pick him up and smuggle him across the border to Finland, stuffed in the car's trunk. Gordievsky was not alone in thinking that the plan was far too risky. Thankfully, however, the plan proved unnecessary as Gordievsky found his own way to the UK. In 1979, Gordievsky divorced Yelena, which, as he had suspected, prompted a career slump. He found himself demoted to a personnel section of the KGB, where he wrote histories of Soviet espionage. Obviously, In this position, there was no clear way to learn about current KGB operations. However, that same year he married again, this time to Leila. Gordievsky took full advantage of his career doldrums and enrolled in a KGB course for learning English. By 1981, Gordievsky had qualified for British posting. Therefore, when a vacancy for KGB officer at the Soviet embassy in London became available, Gordievsky greased palms until the position was his. While waiting for permission to leave the Soviet Union, Gordievsky wisely used his time to go through files at KGB headquarters and come to grips with the KGB's operations in Britain. It was precisely this sort of information that Gordievsky's MI6 handlers were after. Finally, on June 28, 1982, Gordievsky, Leila, and their 2 daughters boarded a flight to London. While code names are supposed to be random, they often contain subtle clues, such as the Nazis' codename for Britain, Golfplatz, meaning golf course. Gordievsky's role in the Cold War was crucial, as he provided insight into Soviet leaders' psychology. The idea of spying may sound romantic, but most spies aren't actually that effective. This was not so with Gordievsky. His work for MI6 was critical in determining the course of the Cold War. Gordievsky supplied MI6 with more than just a few names. He was actually able to provide a conception of the psychology that moved the Soviet masterminds at the head of the government and in the KGB. One pivotal piece of information that Gordievsky supplied was the perception prevalent in the KGB that the West would strike first in a nuclear war. In fact, the Soviet leaders were terrified of it. Beginning in 1981, they tasked the KGB with interpreting possible signs of an imminent attack. This was Operation Ryan, the largest Soviet intelligence operation to take place during the Cold War. During this stage of the war, America's rhetoric had become increasingly aggressive. President Reagan even lambasted the USSR as an evil empire. It was therefore deemed essential by the West to work out the exact pitch of Soviet anxiety over Western aggression. After all, if it was too great, the USSR could conceivably strike first in defense. MI6 passed their information on Soviet psychology to the US's intelligence service, the CIA, making sure to disguise their source in the process. As a direct consequence, the Americans realized they would have to tone down their rhetoric considerably to prevent the possibility of a Soviet nuclear attack. On top of that, Gordievsky actually assisted in bringing the Cold War to a close by showing both sides how they could communicate with one another. Not unlike the interference in the 2016 US presidential campaign, in 1983, the Soviets were seeking to facilitate the Socialist Labour Party's path to the British government. They thought it would be hard to find an ally in Margaret Thatcher's Conservative Party. In the general election that year, however, Thatcher won by a landslide. It was Gordievsky who provided briefings on how she should behave with the Soviets. He specifically advised her to be friendlier in her public portrayal of Soviet leaders. He was aware that they could be quickly offended and automatically revert to defensiveness. Simultaneously, MI6 were giving Gordievsky information to make him look like a skilled operative in his reports back to Moscow. Topics included subjects for discussion with British politicians, as well as insights on British politicians' personalities. In effect, Gordievsky reshaped the way the West and the Soviet Union thought about each other, and how channels of communication operated. His impact on the course of human history should not be forgotten. He risked his life to betray his country and made the world a little bit safer. A CIA double agent blew Gordievsky's cover, and he was sent back to Moscow. Being a double agent is a high-stakes game. Sometimes it may seem best to call it a day, defect, and get the hell out. Other times, it's better just to keep playing those cards. MI6 had been feeding Gordievsky information to ensure he could rise up the ranks of the KGB. The idea was to impress the KGB while simultaneously discreetly removing barriers to his success. For instance, they expelled Arkady Guk, Guk, Gordievsky's superior at the Soviet embassy, from Britain. Then, quite suddenly, the unexpected happened. In May 1985, soon after he had been promoted to residence, the highest diplomatic rank, Gordievsky was briefed that an immediate return from London to Moscow was demanded. It was highly suspicious that the Soviets wanted him back. Perhaps they'd clocked his treason. Nonetheless, he decided to risk flying to Moscow rather than defecting to the West. A few weeks after landing in Moscow, Gordievsky was hauled to a KGB compound where he was drugged and pressed to confess that he was spying on behalf of the British. Gordievsky proved a disappointment to his captors. He refused to confess. He was then released and demoted. Presumably, the plan was to monitor him and catch him in the act of spying for the British. He was not given the opportunity to leave the USSR. It was not until many years later that anyone outside the KGB had any idea what chain of events had resulted in Gordievsky's detention. It turned out there had been a snitch inside the CIA. The CIA itself had set the events in motion. The CIA was intent on working out the identity of MI6's prize informant. They tasked Officer Aldrich Ames with this job. Unfortunately, Ames was a double agent for the Soviets and was passing on everything he learned to his handler. But Ames was not of the same class as Gordievsky, but motivated by money alone. Ideology had nothing to do with it. In fact, it's estimated he earned $4.6 million from the Soviet Union while informing for them. Gordievsky was increasingly anxious that the KGB would one day come for him. All he could do was be glad he was still alive, and attempt to persuade Layla of his innocence. Gordievsky succeeded in escaping the Soviet Union, but had to leave his family behind. The question for both MI6 and Gordievsky was plain enough. Could Pimlico, the intricate plan for smuggling him out of the Soviet Union, actually work? MI6 had no idea where their man was. He had vanished somewhere behind the Iron Curtain. Then, a few weeks after his interrogation by the KGB, Gordievsky realized that he simply had to risk making an escape, even if that meant leaving his family behind. MI6 had not seen him for weeks and didn't even know if he was still alive. But suddenly, on July 16, 1985, a man wearing a gray cap and holding a Safeway bag was spotted in front of a bakery. It was Gordievsky. The Moscow-based MI6 agents leaped into action. Fully aware that the KGB had them all bugged, the wife of one British diplomat, who was himself an MI6 spy, pretended to have a sudden attack of back pain. There was no choice, they claimed, but to drive to Finland for the proper medical attention. Of course, they were sure not to inform the listening KGB bugs that the plan was a ruse to spirit Gordievsky and his family over the border. Gordievsky had his own work to do. He had to make sure Layla could be trusted. Out on their balcony, beyond the KGB microphones, he asked her if she wanted to flee, returning to Britain with her children. To his disappointment, she dismissed the idea. Thus, he came to the sad conclusion that Layla and his daughters posed too great a risk. They would have to remain. So, 3 days later, as agreed with MI6, Gordievsky made his way to the Finnish border. His training from the KGB was used against them, as he succeeded in losing his trailers en route. The MI6 agents managed to pick up Gordievsky at the rendezvous point, unseen by the KGB. They'd even brought another couple with a baby along to make it look like a family outing. Gordievsky, now in the trunk, was still not safe. Dogs at the border crossing could smell him. In a moment of inspiration, one of the agents dropped some stinky British potato chips out of the car window to distract them. Then, inspiration struck, and the baby was brought out. Its diaper was changed on the trunk, just above Gordievsky. Both of these performances most likely saved his life. Finally, after crossing the border, the all-clear was given. The main theme from Finlandia, the Finnish composer John Sibelius's most famous work, resounded through the vehicle. It was an act of unmatched daring, not least on the part of the baby. In fact, Few Russians today believe that MI6 was prepared to use a baby as cover during an exfiltration mission. Pimlico was so secret that the MI6 agent who flew to Scotland to get Thatcher's approval for the plan struggled to get reimbursement for the trip. Gordievsky found solace in the suburbs of London, protected by MI6. Gordievsky's story is a fascinating one, but not all stories end happily. Safe in London, but apart from his family, depression soon set in. Things were also difficult for Layla and the children. Embarrassed by Gordievsky's treachery, the KGB effectively held his family hostage in the Soviet Union. It was brutal revenge. For years after, MI6's Operation Hetman attempted to reunite the family. Margaret Thatcher even pushed for their extradition whenever she met with Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev. Needless to say, stuck in the Soviet Union, Layla was enraged at her husband, especially since he maintained the lie that he was just an innocent, loyal KGB officer. Of course, she had already figured out the truth. Vadim Bakatin, the new and final head of the KGB, was determined to make his first act a symbolic one. The terror associated with the agency would be no more. Therefore, finally, the family was reunited in London on September the 6th, 1991, just 3 months before the Soviet Union itself dissolved. But there was too much to forgive. The pair divorced in 1993. Gordievsky's life in exile could easily be characterized as one of loneliness, but he has also been lauded for his efforts and won much personal acclaim. He even toured the world, demystifying the inner workings of the KGB, meeting Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan in the process. The Queen also gave him honors for his service in 2007, appointing him Companion of the Most Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George. He's also busied himself by co-authoring numerous hefty tomes on Soviet espionage. In a quiet, gray London suburb, Gordievsky lives his life, still under the protection of MI6. His efforts changed the world as we know it, but perhaps even his closest neighbors still do not know who he really is. Final summary. The key message in this book. For KGB officer Oleg Gordievsky, the communist ideals he had been raised with were no match for exposure to actual communist practice and Western ideology. He became a double agent for MI6. Over years of life-risking service, Gordievsky provided insight into the psychology of the Soviet leadership, which the Western powers were able to put to use. Ultimately, he contributed to the end of the Cold War before enacting a daring escape out of the Soviet Union, never to return. What to read next? A Spy Among Friends by Ben McIntyre. If you've enjoyed tucking into the twists and turns of this spy story, then you're sure to enjoy the book. You're sure to enjoy Ben McIntyre's biography of Kim Philby, the highly respected operative who rose through the ranks of the British Secret Services during World War II and the Cold War. Philby seemed the very quintessence of British values, but was working as a KGB agent the whole time. For the riveting story of Kim Philby and the rest of the Cambridge spy ring, check out the book, A Spy Among Friends. Oh, right. I have to be kind of careful with this. 10:37 and 46 seconds. I now have the hiccups. Okay, so much as I don't want to be staring at screens and stuff. Also, it's kind of warm here. I'm gonna turn it down. I've just been letting it go. Wow. It gets louder. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this one going. And get that done. There's a crop of other ones. I think I got through all of this. Let me double check. Oops. Let's see how I did. Interesting. 47. 25. I think I got the rest. That's probably the one I didn't touch because it was so far out of sequence with the others. Yep. Okay, so this is like Yeah, it's 2 weeks apart, so I just didn't touch it. I figured, oh, I'll do it in the next batch. I'll keep things chronological, but what's the point really of the chronological order to it? You know, it's there. It's just there. Okay, right. This is just to indicate that I made a change. These two I'm not even too sure about, but yeah, it's fine. I can knock them out. I want to keep knocking this out. Getting it off my plate will do me good. I'll feel better. This one. Whoops. No time indicated. No wonder I just left it. Hey, Jody. Yeah, no glasses. I don't actually have my glasses. Kind of sad. Because these contact lenses are bugging me. Where did the gift go? They'll come back. The glasses will come back to me. This is so weird. It's just inconsistent. I'm looking at this and I'm looking at some footage from the evening of the 15th of February, and it's just smooth. It's as smooth as what you see right now. That's really confusing. Why is this just fine? Thank you. I like the flag a lot too. It doesn't make any sense. Makes no fucking sense. Wow. Been talking the same shit for so long. I feel slow. Okay, for some reason I can't find this sequence with the playing cards. Maybe it wasn't on that date. I don't even know. It's weird. Maybe it didn't happen then. It's really strange. Never mind, it's inconsistent. Like, I'm looking at it and it just... How long does it do this for? Oh, no wonder. It's because the phone call came in just then. Yeah. Just moving along. Very strange moment. Alright, so there's that, fuck. Made a note, check the tail of the broadcast. And I'm looking at the tail, Could it have been the previous evening? Oh, yeah, it could have been. It could have been from the... There's no but here. There is no but here. It could be at the tail of the other one. That could be it. Sorry to disappoint, Delta. Yeah, where the fuck are these cards at? Maybe it's here? The trouble is I'm creating my neck, trying to look at this tiny thumbnail. Yeah, I don't even know where, I have no idea where that is. It's a little frustrating. I'm not gonna lie. That is frustrating. Because I don't like losing stuff. But fuck, sometimes I lose stuff. All too often I lose stuff. It's no big. It's no big. Just a little strange. Okay, so I'm gonna run with some filters here. We'll get rid of the full broadcasts. Nothing that's already been done, and if it doesn't have a one of those, we'll get rid of it, and that leaves just how many sequences? Oh wait, all right, because I already did that one. I did it by myself. That does 14. 14. Okay. And here we go. Let's begin. Oh, already I have to stop it. Stop, motherfucker, stop. Why did it do that? No, stop, motherfucker. Stop, you piece of shit. Stop it, you whore. There's a smarter way to do this, obviously. That does not require me to cuss out my computer. it goes up to this point that's so dangerously close to the edge. Alright, gotta rename that one. I'm gonna muse over this a bit more. I don't have a pen. Right. That's something I haven't done in a minute. But I like to do. Oh, you piece of shit. Why would this happen? What was the last thing you did, you piece of shit? still not sure how to handle those, some of these edge cases. Not with the tools that I have. It's kind of annoying. I could play around with that a little bit, because that'd be a win. It's just part of the data cleaning. Okay, finished. So, yeah, nice, good stuff. Maybe I can make another one just for, that does nothing except for yeah. This is always useful. Some of these numbers are just wackadoodle. Anyways, so there's these, there are two columns. This one, is there anything even in here? Yeah, 128. Oh, fuck. That's something that I can clean up after I need to check against something else. I could actually probably knock that out tonight with what I know now. Nice. Good job, Alex. Good job. Okay, so this highlighter thing, I think I can ditch. Because it's not as useful as the extended one that I made. Things like tilde fucked it up. These letter Y's don't need to be here. They tell us nothing. Oh, these are all Ys. Oh, okay. Well, that helps a lot. Well, at least this set is all Ys. The refs, we can clean all of this up. I'm focused more on building first instead of checking. So this one can go. I'm pretty confident this whole entire thing can go. They all take the same form. Yeah, they can all go. Because they're all pulling data. Each one of them is a formula. Yeah, and some of them, the older ones, I hard-coded a lot of stuff. I hard-coded the URL, but then I gave it greater flexibility at a certain point. There's been so, like, this has gone, I don't even want to know how much time has gone into this. It's been an incredible amount of time. And while blanks look cleaner, I think something with a more descriptive thing is perfectly fine. Like this is just confusing. Why does this have? Oh, okay, I see. I see. I see. I understand now. Alright, I understand it and I don't care. Okay, so got a lot of goofiness going on here. This column can go. This one we save. This is what we. Ooh. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh Lord, dude, what the fuck? Just. Okay, here we go. Finally, at long last, I was able to move it. Okay. So, kill this column. And this is very similar to this. Very similar. Mm-hmm. Perfect. What's H3? Nice. Okay. Cool. Four zero eight. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Right. So hit them all. And we get some that are, okay, no video ID, and that's okay. That's all good. And we get to this next thing, and it's here. This is what would YouTube also, YouTube video IDs. So something similar to for this, a little simpler maybe, a little simpler, dumber. too worried. There's all sorts of good stuff here. It's just not in my ears. I mean, after this thing. Whoops. I'm very smart. I think calisthenics are good. And yes, I'm interested in getting some. In fact, that's something I could be putting my time into right now, but I really haven't been. To my credit, at the least, I still have a little bit of mobility. Are you exploring calisthenics? Oh yeah, and welcome. I see. That's good. That sounds exciting. Oh shit. Sorry to hear, dude. Getting hit by a bus? That sounds fucking scary. I see. Yeah, by all means. Start with what you have, you know. It's a good policy. What all have you been looking into? Programs, progressions. So, I have two things here. One is the actual, like, the raw. Then you have this other one, which is the, after it's been pushed. It's like a cleaned up version. First pass. Hey, Lucy. Woof. A dip bar and a pull-up bar. And looking at a push-up progressions. It's okay. Like if you have this desire to grow, and if you have just dip up the dip bar, pull-up bar, you can do quite a bit with it. Just start moving. And don't forget about your legs. So I was gonna say, like, to my credit, the one thing I can do pretty comfortably, although I know I can't do nearly as many as I could in the past. Fuck, dude, there's no space here. Part of the challenge with this room is there's literally no space. But I can do, you know, leg out. That's a good move. Only viewer on Facebook. Thank you for being my only viewer on Facebook. Have a good night's sleep. It's okay. You can do some push-ups, right? And if you can do pull-ups, that's good. A lot of people struggle with those. If you find that they're getting boring, add weight. still something. There's good stuff out there. I remember one of the really, really early resources my sister was excited about was the 100 push-up. 100 push-ups a day. A coworker of mine recently brought this up. I'd overheard him talking about building out a home gym. And on Monday I asked him about it. He told me that he just pulled the trigger on a bunch of equipment. Got a rack from Rogue, a bar, weights, bench, and a weight tree. And he built out a platform for doing the deadlifts and putting the rack onto horse stall mats, everything. And the total cost, he dropped like $1,800 on this. He's like, I don't have a lot of money for this, but fucking $1,800, Jesus Christ. Did I put my home gym together for a fraction of that? But, you know, Rogue stuff is admittedly pretty good. The power rack I bought was like $200. And it works. I feel safe enough using it. It's pretty thick. I have a reasonable expectation that if I bailed on some weight, it would be able to support it. I will not die underneath it or within it. Don't need anything too fancy. But it's good. I mean, like, you have a baseline. You can make some strides. Again, sorry to hear about the accident. That's scary. Hopefully nothing too serious. Yeah, the live stream stuff is actually kind of interesting to go. I should make two. I'll make two. Car totaled. Oh, well, at least you didn't get injured. Like you said, that's the most important part. Thankfully, you were not injured. Let's do it like this. So, fuck me, man. No video ID, else concat the thing that's above it with this thing, and call it a day. Right? Is that okay? Cool. And do that. And we get a bunch of no video IDs. We should have a few that aren't blank. Yeah, the vast majority are going to be blanks. That's okay. I might even make like a report just so I can keep track of shit. It'd be cool to have reporting and all of this, but it's totally unnecessary. It's not supposed to be pretty. The shit's supposed to just work. Similarly, W. Oh, W. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's so weird. Oh, whoops. Okay, there's some definite inconsistencies in what I've done here. No surprise. Yeah. This should be here. W. 3. Oh, that's why. Okay. Y3 W. Okay. Sweet. Now I've got some stuff. I can move around a little faster. That's cool. We get rid of the ones that say none and check one of these out. Let's see what it looks like. Go from there. Just trying to make my life a little easier. All right. This is actually a straight export. This is not an upload. Oh yeah, okay. It's marked as such. Silly me. Now the question, is it tagged? All right. Well, there's the answer. And this probably has. I always assume the worst when it comes to this shit. Yeah, it was uploaded and then it just sat. But that's not bad. It's better than nothing. See, I don't really have a good yardstick for this yet. Just gotta keep trying. Captions. Nice. No filters. Oh, wow, okay, so there's some stuff that's just lurking here. Yeah, okay, that's it. Because I can't see it, then I have no idea if I've populated it or not, which is the downside to just making blanks. It's better to populate, provide some value. Say there's nothing here, as opposed to just like there may not be anything here. You won't know until you try. That's bad policy. So this column, a count of 8, like clearly not necessary. Count of 35. There's probably more than that. Here we go. So Y, let's look at AF. Hey, error. If is blank, then that, else concat that with that. Yeah, why would you give me error? What? Oh, because I have that. Again, I am very smart. Similarly, here, just checking everything out. It looks good. Checks out. AH, yeah. Similarly here, checks out, notes, and all right, cool. So, are you? Oh. Yeah, it's probably fun. Okay. It's probably fun. This stuff. I'm not going to worry about these way down here. or that, or that, or that, or these. This is all back in the day. This is so far back. Lord. But it's where I started. It's where I fucking started with this. Clearly. Nice. Beats nothing. And it's, you know, it's a pretty long process. Pretty long. So highlight Q. F to S. Do I know how to? Yes. Am I particularly good at it? No. Because I've never owned a car with a manual transmission. They're fun though. I've said before that if my car's automatic transmission were to fail, I'd consider swapping in a stick. Just because they're fun. They are definitely fun. Not for everyone. This one's a weird one. Or mobile. I think I should put this one in the Q shit because it's actually, it's not too interesting to look at it from, well, it's a tough call. Tough call. Alright, this is just notes on the full broadcast. And VODs, okay. Again, going back to reference should be out to A4, yep. Oh, yeah, this is the one I'm not doing because it's too much shit. Alright, cool. I still have some time. What was I gonna do? I was talking about matching up, trying to get rid of this one column, but it's not actually necessary. It's not gonna help me move forward. What would help? Seeing if I can solve that one problem with ingesting stuff. Yeah, that would help. But that's also, it's an edge case. It's an edge case. I don't really need to solve for it because it's only going to become a real problem when I try going back through the entire corpus. What would help while I'm away, no, I have to actually sit at like before I go eat one of these days, I'll kick off an installer. I'll uninstall some stuff and reinstall it, I think. And also get better at managing the flow, managing my workflows. Virtual environments. That's the thing that all the smart people use. Change settings, channel's not live, and then blanks. So some redundancies here. Yeah, I don't want to actually get too deep into the weeds on any of these things right now. This I still need to appify. Talked about it before. Let me make this glaring note at the top of it to myself. To do appify. And save and checkpoint, I guess, and then close and halt. Meaning we can kill the server. And reading files line by line. Oh, yes. That's the big next step. The next step is now that I've gotten all this stuff, it's keeping on in the same vein, but on a different plane. Okay, so I fucked with this a little bit. Let me make something new now. Call it this. I need to drop down and that will use input. Add it to Finder, manage quick actions. That sounds cool. And then folders attached to a folder uses input to the workflow. Okay, cool. So this one is untitled too. This one is called. It's going to be a really simple, simple pushing of shit. It's going to be called export. Okay, and we're going to look at one of these, the first, if anything, this guy. We'll see what happens, just walking myself through it. Okay. Okay. Do this, and oh, okay, great, and it's raw. All right, so that's good. That's good. I'm not even gonna bother filling out all of the metadata for on the Twitch side, because ultimately the goal is to just clear off the Twitch VOD system. It doesn't need to be competing with the other channels. It's just one channel by which a user can find me and consume the live broadcast. That's it. They can also, users can also send me whispers and add me as a friend. i.e. engage. So let's record. We go to this window, copy the cell, do the thing, do this thing, hit enter. Then hit this one, go to this field, oops, type that, and hit that, right, because I don't want them to be visible, and close, and that's it. Maybe add one more step, which is to move up to the next one. Whoa. All right. That's nice. That's nice. So, whoa. Close that. Set to click the toolbar of that, type that. Man, this is so confusing. Let's try recording it again, because that's fucked. That's it. Okay, so these two do the thing. The trouble right now is that I have no idea what's actually been exported. So I could throw a flag up for now. In the next cell, just throw up a flag and then type a Y in there. Or even better yet, the date. Enter today's date. That could be powerful. Insert note function. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, that's the tricky part. Is I can't readily set it yet. I have to do some matching up on other data. Yeah, this one's kind of tricky. This one's kind of tricky. It's the layer between the two. I pulled this pen out once. It's a young guy, Venkatish. He was like, "Oh damn, it's like that's a contract signing pen." Yeah, should be able to find all of those. I could handle this in one step along with the rest of this. No, I can't. I cannot, actually. You have to wait. You have to wait until it finishes processing. Necessary because fuck. Yeah, dude. That's more like nice to haves, I guess. I mean, it's kind of a need to have. So you really... Yeah, you definitely want to be grabbing this stuff locally. I need to describe this thing a little better for myself. Shit, that's annoying. I can knock this out pretty quick, I think. I think I can knock that out pretty quick. And this is just for the sake of learning eventually I'm gonna migrate it all into native AppleScript instead of doing it the way I'm doing it right now, which is, these are all, watch me do this. Computer, watch me, then do as I do. Alright, so these two I'm going to disable. And let's just test with another one that was done today and verify it does what I want it to do. So select this one. Select this one, actually. What's this? This is a full broadcast, which we don't want to push out then. So this guy. I don't think this guy exists on the channel yet. I'm actually really curious if anything comes up for this. Like that's good. I should be doing this type of intelligence gathering, surveilling. Oh. No. Yeah, like no. There's a video with 2.5 million views from 6 months ago. That's probably pretty solid. This dude's so funny. He like came by my channel twice. He commented on the same video twice. 1 year apart. It's fucking hilarious. All right, so there's actually there's a lot of stuff. Interview. No video ID yet. I have no idea how to check. Oh yeah, I know. Psh, okay, well, since I'm here now, may as well check here. Why is the dark theme not on? Zero videos. Okay, so that one I'm sending out. This one I'm gonna send. Let's see what this looks like. Hi, Raiden. I'm gonna do this and hit the button. See what happens. Fingers crossed. Please work. What the fuck? Wrong. Wrong, all wrong. What even? Like, I didn't even modify this. Why is it coming up with the, it's like a stupid fucking thing. Set UI script to do this. I think it's this most basic thing that it just doesn't. I'm just like, trying to automate some stuff on Mac OS, and I'm not experienced with writing Apple scripts, so the only thing I know how to do so far is just getting Automator to watch me do stuff. Now my cursor is gonna fly over to this point, hit a button, and we're gonna wait for that. Yay! Kinda worked. Alright, it works. It works. It's really, really clunky, but it works. So tell us it's not. I'm trying to keep the actual computer work as light as possible right now, because I don't have my glasses on, and instead I've been wearing contacts for. Dude, I lost the left lens out of my eyeglasses on, I think, like the 21st of March. So it's been a while. I've been wearing contacts every day, and as I'm wearing contacts every day, I come to dislike them a little bit more with each passing day. As somebody who's worn glasses since I was in like 3rd grade, I really don't like contacts. I find them terribly uncomfortable. I mean, right now it's not even that it's that I perceive this thing on my eye. It's especially this one, the one in my right eye. It's a toric lens, and my understanding is it's designed such that it will always sit in the right orientation. But it's really, I don't know if it's this particular lens. It's a daily disposable, so that's good at least. Maybe it's my eyes have drifted a little bit since they were prescribed just a few months ago. But everything's a little off through this one. Even though I know it's in the right orientation right now, because sometimes it will focus everything just right. And the rest of the time it just sucks. So I find myself doing this a bit and this. Thank you. Thank you for this compliment. Yeah, I don't actually know what young Hideo really looked like, so he must have been a good-looking guy. We've turned on storage since. That's what my computer wants to tell me. How long have I been a streamer? I think that I probably went live for the first time somewhere in like Q3 of 2015. It's a guess. Could have been Q2. The first broadcasting account that I made was my Twitch. And the Twitch account's been around for a minute. Since maybe January. I think it was January of 2015. Yeah, I know who Hideo Kojima is, but I haven't really like looked into him enough to say that, oh, I could pick him out in a crowd, or I know what he looked like when he was young. See? That's all. I've played a couple of the games, but not all the way through. The one I've put most time into was Peace Walker on the PSP. I bought a PSP Go something like 7 years ago. Yeah. Time flies. Anywho, so I think it did it, right? Yeah, I was excited. It did it. It did the thing. I think it did the thing anyhow. I was thinking that I could try to pick up the skill of like going through emails and parsing information out of this, but there's an easier way. Like whenever possible, just use the APIs, or yeah, just use the APIs. And I understand from talking to people that do this type of thing that auth is always a pain in the ass, so I'll just probably avoid it, because you can get information without the auth. But just use your existing cookies. On Mixer. I was on Mixer, I think right when news broke that Microsoft was acquiring Beam. I knew that it would take off and that I should get myself registered on this platform. So I've been on it since it was called Beam, but only the tail end of that journey. And Mixer is the platform that I've broadcasted least to. That's because after I quit playing video games, the first thing I did to bring my channel back up was reinvented it, and it became a personal fitness channel. It was not so much like selling other people on personal fitness, it was just me documenting my own growth. And that was pretty fun. But Mixer's rules made it such that I couldn't broadcast to Mixer. At least not the way I wanted to. I didn't want to put a shirt on. So I would just broadcast from my home gym, working out shirtless. It started off just like half an hour, get through it fast. eventually topping out at 2-hour-long sessions, just being pooped. For a while, I was using FTL, and I can't wait to leverage that again. But we'll see what happens. Everything with my broadcasting stack is really up in the air right now. I'm broadcasting, not using conventional webcam, but you are seeing me through my iPhone 8 Plus with a wide-angle lens. And this feels like a step backwards. I've gotten pretty trick with this thing in the past, but right now it's about as basic as you can get. Just broadcasting through Streamlabs mobile. Pushing out to Restream, and from there it hits all the channels. I've been thinking about broadcasting out to DLive as well. Like, why not be everywhere? Yeah, you can stream through the phone. Dude, Periscope, for example, has been around forever. Twitter acquired that ages ago. Or it was launched by Twitter. I think they acquired it. Anyways, Periscope's been around forever. So you've been able to stream from your phone. And like, people stream mobile games directly through their phone too. In fact, the Streamlabs mobile app can allow you to do that. And so some folks will, when starting off streaming mobile games, they'll just use a Streamlabs app. They'll eventually buy a microphone, an external mic, like a lav mic. I've thought, not seriously at all, about streaming some games, some mobile games, but I mean, dude, I hardly play anything. It's not even hardly. Like, now I don't play games. You know, the last time I played a game was 1v1ing Leonid in CSGO. You know, pinging 200. It's kind of fun. Mixer has a mobile app too. You can broadcast through its mobile app, and you can do, I think you can do FTL on mobile. I think, don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure you can. I think there are other platforms with mobile apps. Well, not just mobile, that's obvious. Like Twitch has had the mobile broadcasting feature for a long time. Yeah. Thank you. Anyways, you're already following this channel, and I imagine maybe you were in a situation like I was, where I was going through my list of following people on occasion and like going through them thinking, do I want to keep following this person? I wonder when it is that you first popped in here. I wonder how we could find out. I wonder. Oh, that's why, okay. Okay, I have no idea when you actually followed this channel. I think this may be the very first time that you chatted here. may be possible. Edmonton. Gotcha. Well, I appreciate it, man. I don't know when it was, but I mean, could probably find out, but hey, what difference does it make? I'm a bit of a historian. Like, keeping track of shit. Mostly my own shit. But yeah, hey, at least this thing is working enough to do this one basic task, and next, yeah, we can go do the other thing. That'd be fun. I think it'd be fun to, it would be fun to keep growing my skills and with programming and sharing as I go along doing it. It's useful for self-branding. You know, even if it's not what I want to do to make a living. Although I don't know. I really don't. I think if you're part of a good team, the data is structured nicely. That could be fun. Because you can just play around with ML stuff all day. It's what the project lead, the lead on the project that I'm working on, that's what she said. She's like, yeah, ML's pretty fun. I'm trying to get my systems in place to do a little bit of ML on my own. I'll see what happens. Hey! No, you did not arrive in the middle of a life crisis. It's an ongoing life crisis. There's no middle. What are you still doing up? So, Brayden, I thought about this long and hard. In fact, today I was looking at a notification came up on my phone from Reddit. Somebody made a post on r/Twitch talking about, asking like, why do big streamers have chats anyways? Like, what's the point? You know, because as soon as you send a message in it, it just goes. Once you got 10, 20,000 people chatting, even with slow mode, just can't keep up with it. So like, that's something I've been thinking about for some time. Like, how do you solve for that? And the answer is not like get more people on it. You cannot get enough people on it. You can't. You have to use some tools to help. So one simple one that I had, and like you can't see it right now, but if I'm broadcasting through the rig, then I've got this little overlay which pulls from a stream chat channel in my Discord server. Because this is a problem too, right? Like every single broadcaster who's been in the game for a minute recognizes that there's value in actually gathering people together and forming an online community. And Discord enables you to do that pretty easily. So everybody's using Discord. But people go inactive in Discord servers. You need some type of incentive to get people to keep coming back to your server. Beyond just, hey, I'm a cool guy. You can come interact with me here. You can get in my ear. Like, I keep all the channels open. Right? So Discord actually has that chat overlay. They provide it through their thing called, I can't remember, it's been a minute. But it's just hooks right in. I see very, very few people doing this, few if any. Another motivation for solving this problem, in fact I should actually point it out to people, but another motivation for solving this problem was because in the past I was broadcasting, just like I'm doing right now, directly through the phone. And I did have the chat overlay turned on. And I'd be doing these book summary readings after the peaks in my viewership went away. And I'd be in the middle of a book summary reading and some fuck would come into my channel on Mixer or YouTube and just start spamming. And they would do this, like there would just be a wall of spam. I look at it and it's just like, I'm just reading this book summary, but at the same time I'm looking at it, it's like, fuck man. How do I solve for this? How do I get these shitters off of my fucking wall? Not even 3 a.m. yet. What? What? Oh boy. Thought it was about to be sexy time upstairs. So, as a broadcaster, yeah, when you're a smaller broadcaster, smaller channel, when you have a smaller concurrent viewership, it's easy, relatively. Like within 100 people, it's relatively easy to keep up with the chat, or at least be able to look at it and go like, oh, okay, well, this is something I want to respond to, this is something I don't want to respond to. But I think once you get to I don't know. I've never been there, actually been there with an active chat, but once you get to, say, if you have maybe 100 active chatters, it get pretty tough. Start going a little faster. 100. Becoming a bit too much. And then you get somebody new coming in. Fuck. You can't do the one-on-one as much. It's one to many. Everything changes. Yes, but at some point, with the really big channels, you can't even moderate it. If you have enough people in there, you can't moderate it. You have to run the auto mod just to stop the worst. Not the worst, just the most basic. But the auto mod, I don't know that it can actually get rid of the ASCII art. I don't think it can. Oh, it might be able to, because some of the bots, they do some pattern recognition. They'll look for strings of the same character being repeated over and over again. But you could even, that could time somebody out for saying lol with 5 L's. But yeah, I mean, the basics, the moderators, when things are relatively quiet, yes, you're right. It's about establishing ground rules, setting a tone. I like that Twitch has a little pop-up when you first go to a streamer's chat for the first time and you hit the chat box, all of a sudden there's a pop-up. And it's like, hey, here's the rules. Okay. Hey streamer, you fucking suck. Gargle my balls. Yeah, but really, I'm talking about when you cross a certain threshold, humans can't keep up with it anymore. It just becomes this flowing thing. A torrent. Can't keep up with it. That's even if you don't have people doing copy pasta shit. It starts to get real interesting. But we have the technology. We've got to harness it. I'd like to try to figure this shit out. So, I get the feeling that by the time I get back home, I've gained a little bit, developed a little bit, made some baby steps along the way to solving this and all the other problems. But then there's still that one big problem. Feeding myself. That one. I concluded last night the solution to that one is to keep on reaching out to people I already know. It's to try to get something, leverage the network that I have, figure out where the opportunities are, and just capitalize on that. I really don't want to be going to an office commuting in Houston's traffic. I really don't want to be expected to show up someplace at 8 o'clock. Like you throw in a 30, 45-minute commute. Gotta walk the dog as well. Gotta feed him. The day goes by fast. Especially if you've got to cook for yourself. Gotta clean up a house. I don't want to do it. I'm okay to do the cooking, the cleaning. I just don't want the fucking commute. But here's the thing, even if they cuss the streamer out, the streamer doesn't know. It gets to the point where you literally cannot keep up with it. It's like, don't even bother. You're just vaguely aware there's this thing that's constantly shifting in front of you. Part of it loves you, part of it hates you. Looking right at this. I've got the letter yes. I've got a Y and I've got N and some extra stuff. N and some extra stuff is taking a bath. And I'm gonna kill that and figure the rest out later because I don't even know. Upload it to YouTube, recording notes. The good stuff is that this thing, let's see what we got here, YouTube, anything, live stream, Minecraft, and E. And this one's called Splish Splash, I think. Thank you, Ridden. I like it too. I'm quite fond of this flag. I can't wait to bring it back home with me. I can't wait to go back home, man. I miss home. I miss my home. I miss my paw. My little dog. Arr. Aye, where's the rum? Where be the rum? Standardized things. Yeah, I could get away with make a break in how the data is being stored. I will move the chat thing at least over to yeah, it'll be easier, I think. No, actually, it doesn't make too much of a difference. It's like, it's trivial stuff. Business as usual. One of my friends over here was telling me about this game from not too long ago, maybe like the past decade. And at its time, folks had its AI was lauded as being this exemplar in video games. And he told me about these bugs in the AI. There were these pressure-sensitive pads that the player and NPCs could step onto. And if you stepped onto one of these pads, then like the ground underneath you would thrust up and you would be flattened against the ceiling and die. So NPCs would sometimes wander onto these pads. Like an NPC, if you had two of them next to you, one might wander onto the pad and die. And the other one there would see the dead NPC and say something like, "My condolences," and then would also proceed, might just step onto the same pad and die. And you had these guards who could be provoked to attack NPCs. And if they slayed an NPC, afterwards they would spotting the NPC, the slain NPC would say something like, "My goodness," or "Who did this?" You know, something to indicate that they had no recollection whatsoever that just previously they had been trying to kill this NPC. I kind of joked around about this a little bit. I brought up I haven't played the game, Red Dead Redemption 2, but apparently there was this, like a spot in a road that you'd cross. And as soon as you came into contact with this spot, your character or animals in nature or other just NPCs, anything crossing the spot would spontaneously combust and die. I thought that was hilarious. It could have been the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Yeah, I think that's what it was. It was definitely a popular game title, but I know I hadn't played it. But once I started getting into first-person shooters, that was it. That's as far as I took my gaming for a long time. Like that and The Sims and Civilization. I kind of miss the old days. Just spontaneous combustion. So, going along with this whole I have all of these it's not only on this machine but also my work laptop. I've got a lot of Stack Overflow stuff open. And it would probably be wise to just toss it into a, not projects, this is reference. This is really reference / skill development. So pandas, learnings, projects, pandas, libraries. This is basic ass pandas shit. Concatenate data frames. Oh, nice. Dude, Final Fantasy VII was the one that I spent most time with. In fact, since I'm sitting here, let's see if I can find this. So I've been working as an intern on a data science team within this company, a local company here in Columbia, Missouri. I'm studying towards my master's in business administration, but I'm finished with the coursework. There's still a couple of these requirements that I need to knock out before I can receive my diploma. And I'll get it all done, because, you know, the credential's worth something, right? Yeah. And background before that, Bachelor's of Science in Petroleum Engineering. Did I not? Oh, I definitely pushed this out to YouTube. I don't even have it out here. That's sad. Let's find this title. Yeah, but no, I don't mind at all. Happy to answer most questions. I was gonna say any and all. Of course. Yeah, I know it's pretty boring when people just say, give one-word responses to things. Like, you might be busy, but I'm also taking my time to interact with you in your chat. And I appreciate that. Uh-oh, I think they're at it again. Or maybe it's just somebody really big, and every time they get down. Yeah, maybe it's just somebody pretty sizable. Okay. Level 99. The beer store. Oh, the guitar, cool. So, oh, okay. Yeah, you have it here. For some reason, the image isn't displaying. Damn. Dude, I've got to ask. How did this rated or Raiden 034 Instagram account end up with so many followers and only 2 posts? Oh, okay. So I'm a little confused. I guess you deleted a lot of stuff. one follower you know. Oh, this guy rebranded, I guess. Yeah, he's sizable. You followed spam accounts and it flooded your feed. Yeah. There's so much botted activity on social, it's insane. Yep, I found it. Sorry, I'm taking a moment to respond to some stuff on Snapchat. Like my brother. Bud, why, sir? Funny, it's like coming out of, yeah, okay, I saw that. So let's see, this new one, PS4, Borderlands. Yeah, everybody's been playing Borderlands recently. I think I played X2, so 10-2. I didn't play the original FF10. Cool, man. Yeah, my feed is it's pretty light. I don't have a lot on it right now. But, excuse me, I've got this shared album with my sister on Google Photos. And oh shit. I took this one just last night. Just walking back to my dorm. And I thought it looked really pretty. And this camera's not gonna do it justice, but I'll push this one somewhere. Because that's just pretty. Like, I bought this phone, yes, X2 was the cringy girl one. I bought this phone because it had the night shot capabilities, and you know, I like the night, but now I find that, you know, I've got to sleep relatively early, otherwise, you know, I'm gonna feel like shit during the day. Check this one out too. I got a couple more that I thought were pretty cool. These trees are really dope. Banyan tree in Hawaii. Right. And the view from the lanai of my uncle's pad, excuse me, one of his properties. Yeah, 456 items inside of the shared album. I need to push some of that shit. The thing is, I don't even know what I really want to put onto Instagram. You know, like, for example, I took this picture of this WRX STI that I test drove when I was back in Houston. And, you know, the thought occurred to me, like, yeah, I could put this on Instagram, but it's just a car I test drove. You know, it's nothing like, it doesn't really mean anything to me, you know? There's no significance behind it, aside from the fact that I experienced this thing very, very briefly. I did have the saleswoman record video for me as I was driving this, and I haven't done anything with it. What I'd like to do is just I keep telling myself I'm gonna do this shit, but it's because I spend so much time just talking at myself or kind of thinking about what's next in my little life, the problems I face now and the problems that are coming up, that I don't end up sharing with the velocity that I'd like to. It is a sexy ass car, for sure. Hella sexy, man. Like, so much shit, dude. I've got so much shit that's just locked away. You know, and it's not good. I'm not proud of that. I want to be getting more of it out there. Just some funny shit too. Some stuff that I see that's just fucking hilarious. Just what the fuck? Doesn't have to be a set theme. Plus a lot of gaming screenshots and promoter for company. But feels it's crazy. A promoter for a company. Hey, can I talk with you about that? Over voice on Discord or something. If you're open to talking about it, and it can be on or off the air, I don't mind either way. I'd just like to pick your brains on it a bit and figure out what you do on a day-to-day basis, because I'm wondering if it's something that I should push towards. There are a couple of opportunities that I could try jumping on. I mean, I already did some fact finding. I just don't know. I don't know if it's what I want to do. I mean, it makes sense to give it a shot. It's like, here, sweet. You open the chat now? Okay. If you open the chat now, you're welcome to either join my Discord server, or if you whisper me somewhere with your Discord user ID, I can add you. Oh gosh, why did I try starting the desktop app? Maybe it's the smartest thing to do. I should close out of all this stuff. Discord quit unexpectedly. Go figure. I've got so many tabs open. So. Yeah, there's so many things that I need to learn that I need to learn more about. Just within my own sphere of interests. Thinking about like cloud storage. I think I started on a long time ago. Yeah, I mean, it's more like, you know, I've got some stuff that I'd like to ask about. It's not really like trying to, my intention is not to come in and go like, hey, Ryden, help me find work. You know, it's really like I'm more curious about what a day looks like, and to learn more about you. Like I said, if you're open to it, do let me know your ID or hop into my server. I will open up the app. Dun. No, nothing too personal. Like, if you would rather keep it private, if you want me to put on my headphones, that's fine with me. I'm okay either way. My concerned face. Sounds like a plan. Schedule as public for the AEM. Dude, is it only the 9th? Don't tell me I fucked up. Did I fuck it? I did fuck up. I gotta fix that. I mean, I say I got to, but do I really have to? No. I just want to. So I don't like these little... That's kind of you, man. That is kind. Awfully kind of you. I too like helping people, if I can. Sometimes, oftentimes, it's before I've truly helped myself. And my parents have given me a bit of a hard time on this. My mother will frequently say that 我宁缺杀尽 which means Huel is. I've asked her if there's some direct translation into Mandarin. I don't think there is one. So, go figure. But I guess it comes back to this idea that my father's tried impressing into me for so long, which is that you shouldn't have the intention of hurting others, but you should also make sure that others can't readily hurt you. Who knows? Back in the day, when I first started here, all I was doing was playing Destiny. And then this channel has been through a lot of changes. This is really like, started with just Destiny, sprinkled in some Rainbow Six Siege, a bit of Halo 5 when I felt like it. Then moved to exercise, and then what you see now, with a bit of computer stuff mixed in. Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah, I was pretty fucking good at that game. I thought I had maybe like there was a place for me here on Mixer with it. Just because I knew I would try to get in games with the other Mixer broadcasters from time to time and just circulate in the Destiny streams. Dude, I used to spend so much time like trying to network with other broadcasters and shit. Fuck. Anyhow, I would do that, and it's because I looked at the field, and far and away, my stats in PvP for performance were above theirs. So I figured, well, if I can be the guy that everybody wants on their team, then, you know, be friendly and yeah, just try to circulate. But I never pushed too hard for it. I did play with a couple of people, like one of the first people that I would say I actually met through broadcasting is also a broadcaster on Mixer and sometimes shows up. It's Gage. Gage is probably doing okay. And another broadcaster, Wakes on Mixer, formerly Wrinkled Cabals, play games with him from time to time as well. He was always trying to run carries. He and his friend Raven HD. Hello. I don't know if you can see that, but it says YetiEater.com/Discord. It's the easiest way. I don't know that I have ScottyBot running right now. I don't know if ScottyBot's still alive. I know there was like ScottyBot, and then there was a different one that I added, and I don't know if either one of them is running. Cabal's deep. You were on PlayStation, right? I was on Xbox. I thought about hopping on a PlayStation. It was pretty fun, man. Like, I would always show up on Fridays for Trials of Osiris when it opened up. Try to get some games in against bigger broadcasters. I don't think we ever beat a stacked team of like partnered broadcasters. It would have been really cool to gave it a good fight. I put a lot of my life into that, man. Like, a lot of energy into that. And now, like, knowing what I know now, I could have done it so much faster, so much easier, but lazy, too lazy for my own good. Gotcha. My first console could have been a PS2. It ended up being a Sega Dreamcast. I picked right. That's all this shit. I don't even care. Close it out. Hey, if it's too late, we can try to actually schedule something coming up in a bit, this new day or whenever you're available. I don't have anything hard on my calendar, like, not yet. I would like to put some stuff on it because it's just been empty for a while. In fact, there's a lot of, I've been getting, made aware of some events and what have you. So I might push for it a bit, fill it up a little. I like having my free time too, just to eat my very long dinners. Dude, you should totally pick up the guitar again. You should broadcast yourself trying to play guitar. That's what I encouraged my housemate to do. I wonder, used to have more followers. The number of followers on my Twitch channel has been pretty, it's just been holding fairly stable. I used to have more concurrent viewers, but that's, I was also broadcasting like 8 hours a day. Now I'm lucky to put in 2. And the times that I hop on now were times that I was hopping off in the past. So there's a bit of a disconnect, There's like real mismatch between where I was and where I am now. I'm not worried about it. Yeah, active viewers, yeah. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, it's because changes. And also, like, people move on, right? If they feel that you're no longer offering them any value, they're just like, all right, cool, peace. Oh shit! You met your girlfriend through Destiny? That's really cool. Through LFG of all places, that's really cool. Let's see. I wanna. Like Teen Spirit. I don't know if he's been pushing shit out here. Dude, are you kidding me? His last time was like... What? Why? What's been keeping him from playing? He's got 33 views on his last thing. Oh, I see. Well, gotcha. Long distance. Man, what the fuck? I can't believe it's been so long since he's last pushed out. Why? No, okay. He's got stuff from It was the 31st of March. Still, though, it's been almost 2 weeks. Like, what happened? Oh, you guys live together. That's dope. Wow. Yeah, let me share this with you, so you can see what my housemate's doing. What? I'm not even signed in. Did it go through? Nope. He plays pretty damn well. Man, he was barely, like, that's good though. Some people are really good at self-teaching on the piano. There's a guy, a student over here I know named Connor, who's been learning using synthesia. And I've heard him play a little bit. Like he showed me what he was working on once, and like it's really impressive because he's never taken lessons before. This semester he was taking intermediate piano, but that's his only formal experience with it. The rest is just like, yeah. But when I was in high school, I took a music class, an elective, because I wanted to have some type of connection with music still. This was like, I think in 10th grade. One Japanese guy who would play. He had, again, no formal training with it. Just played around. Really impressed by folks like that are able to do it. The one instrument I can always take around with me . Oh, sweet. That's cool, man. Yeah. You can whistle good. You have it in you. You just gotta play around with it. I've been just whistling to myself since, as soon as I figured out how to whistle, I began playing around with it, just experimenting and getting to a point where, all right, now I can hold pitch, actually whistle a melody. And it's cool because it's the thing that like you're always carrying with you. don't have to think about it too much once you've got it figured out. Me, I still haven't figured out how to whistle with, you know, like make a really loud whistle. I will learn. I will learn that one. Oh, I see. I see. I was curious about your background. First knuckle reaches your bottom lips. This is tough. I'm just getting this, like, I don't know that I want to do it that way. Form an okay with either thumb and index or thumb and middle. Okay, like this. Okay. Feels fucking weird. Thumb and oh, like this. Fuck. I'm just making a mess. Alright. I think I'm gonna study this one a little longer and come back to it. Anyways, it's late. I should go rest. Well, shit. Systems work. Welcome. It is late though. I should go rest. It's 1:06 over here, and I have work in the morning. Or I have work when I want to show up to work, but you know, I also want to get my 8 hours of sleep if I can manage it. William, the fuck? Were you here just watching me like putting my fingers in my mouth and trying to make noise. Oh, write in YetiEater.com/Discord. Or go to YetiEater.com, and if you scroll down, you'll see a Discord widget.
Right.
I'll show you. The site is pretty bad looking right now because I haven't been putting in time on it. But yeah, it's easiest is just YetiEater.com/Discord. Anyhow, if you scroll down, you'll see a Discord widget. Boop. Boop. Alright, so I'll figure out this skill sometime. And let's set up a time where I can pick your brains a bit. Thank you in advance. Thank you for agreeing. I'm excited. For now, take care. It's been real. I'm gonna go sleep or get ready. All right. Bye-bye.